Let's
in the
hit it.
Sky podcast, and today we have 330, co-founder of Matter Streaming and also an artist himself. How are you, man? I see you got a fucking beautiful view behind you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sky. I'm down in Melbourne, Florida right now, Space Coast.
Hey, that's what's up. That's what's up. So, before we get into like all this music platform and whatnot, let's get to know you a little bit more. Where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from DC in like a rural area outside of it called Waterford.
What was it like for young 330 growing up there?
Uh, Dirt biking, playing guitar. That was it.
Basic kid shit.
Yeah, a lot of land, so like dirt biking, four wheeling, playing outside.
So, growing up in DC and shit, you're like outdoors and like doing the music shits a little bit. Was is that kind of what transpired into like you making music? Was that the first thing that happened? Was you making your own music?
I mean, what started with me making music was probably like playing orchestra music in high school. Like I'd always play guitar kind of just recreationally, but we had a little competition in our orchestra class, like compose a piece for the class. And that was like I think what got me onto GarageBand and eventually Logic.
So like what? How long ago would you say you started making music on GarageBand and whatnot?
Uh yeah, probably like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. I didn't release any music until like probably 3 years ago, and I still haven't released very much. But yeah, I probably started like making original tracks like 5 or 6 years ago.
And your shit's actually like pretty fucking fire. Like it's definitely something you could just like sit back and like smoke to and just chill for sure. It's like got that alternative indie. Is that what would you call it?
Yeah, I mean, I just try to do myself, like my vocals and my guitar, and then I work with like some pretty amazing producers like the Vague Squad and Optic Core, and I just get to work with my friends, so that makes it enjoyable. And then I started like when I started doing vocals, like I never was really about it too much, but I lived in Korea for a bit when I was starting my first company, and since like I'm not Korean, obviously, and I don't speak Korean, that's when I started recording my like first songs out of kind of boredom and solidarity in Korea. So
Now you're talking about starting up companies. We know about your app Matter. You're out here making music. It seems like you're doing a lot of things. Tell us a little bit more about like you creating companies and like how what are they about? Like
yeah, so I went to school for like quantitative finance, financial engineering, minors in like math and econ. And then I left kind of near the end of my college career because like we were learning, if you're familiar with like arbitrage, we were learning about that in our classes. At the time, that was when like crypto was going crazy with like Bitcoin, Ethereum. I missed the kind of initial wave for it, but I saw that the pricing of Bitcoin denominated in Korean won was like 30, 40% higher than the pricing in US dollars. So I started just flying back and forth between Korea with bags of money. Uh, and then I eventually formed a company out of it and sold it to a prop shop in Chicago.
damn, that's crazy. So my dumb ass would never think of just like the currency exchange for for whatever crypto you were using was a lot higher for the Korean
Yeah,
currencies.
so at the time I was calling it like Airbnb a charge. So basically, like I would go to Korea with some Bitcoin. I would befriend an Airbnb host, and they can pull out basically like $50,000 a year in remittance. So I would go ahead and like once I stayed a couple of days, be like, hey, do you want to make a couple thousand? And I would send them Bitcoin. They would sell it on like a Korean Bitcoin exchange, and then I would go to the bank with them, pull it out in cash. I'd give them some of the cash, and then I'd fly back with a suitcase full of the rest of the cash, and then I would convert it back into US dollars. And then eventually we like obviously that wasn't as scalable, and I probably should have took more of those flights because it was free money. But eventually we created an algorithm around it, and then me and one of my close friends, Jake, we sold it to a company in Chicago.
So you sold the algorithm to exchanging the Korean
Yeah, it
currency.
was like an algorithm and an infrastructure in like five different countries. It was valuable to them, so we sold it, and then I used that money to kind of start working on Matter.
So Matter, what inspired Matter? Like what made you say, "Hey, I want to create a whole like you see all these music platforms such as Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Music. What made you want to go out and create Matter?"
So I think around that time, like one of my songs got copyright striked off of SoundCloud. It was like one of my first releases, and I was pretty pissed about it. And I was like thinking about deactivating my SoundCloud account. And I was kind of just like reminiscing, going through my direct messages. And like, I'm not even a very big artist, but like, even for someone of my size, like every year I'd get hundreds of messages of like, hey, do you sell beats? Do you do mixing and mastering services? What happened to that song that you took down? How can I further support you? Do you have guitar tabs for this? And I kind of realized like these were all fans that I could build a connection with and fans that were probably willing to support me financially. So outside of like my Spotify royalty payments, which like Spotify is king on that, there are a lot of other ways for artists to make money, and I wanted to make that more possible. And so
So
like I linked up with like I met Josh Pan on like my initial release. He had reposted it, and I was like a big fan of Josh. And like I believe we became friends over like Facebook maybe at the time in like 2016. And then fast forward like 2 years, I think I saw him post something about like frustration with the scene or like the state of SoundCloud. And I reached out to him through like a mutual friend, Ryan Jacob, and then from there we just started building together.
so did you sit down and do the coding for Matter? So
I can engineer, but I do very little of it. Honestly, shout out to like our team over in Rostov, Russia, like Gregory and Bogdan, Ferry, Dimitri. They're also like everyone on the Matter team. We're all artists and creatives, and they were kind of fans of like the Bones, Sesh, Little Peep kind of scene back in whatever 2017. So they had heard of me and Josh, and they wanted to work on something like more exciting and something they were more passionate about. So we linked up, and then I moved out to Russia for a couple months and started building the platform with them.
damn bro, you're out here. Like damn, like fucking Korea, Russia. What's the craziest place you've lived in?
Craziest place?
Yeah.
I don't know. Every spot has its own unique personality and perspective. I think the most different compared to like living in DC was probably I'll probably go with like Korea, like Tokyo, the same way as well. It's a very different style of living compared to what I was used to. Cultures are very different.
Those are places I would never like Japan and shit or Tokyo. Like just seeing what I've seen from it is be a place that I wouldn't want to permanently reside. It's
I
just
mean, once you go there, I don't really want to permanently reside anywhere. I like traveling a lot, but I think like Seoul and Tokyo are beautiful cities, and I got a chance to go skiing when I was over in Japan. They have some phenomenal skiing there too.
all right. Back to Matter though. Back to Matter. We're getting off topic.
Yeah.
Um, so you wanted it to be a place where artists can collect more revenue. I see that you have like, what is it? The fan club, something
Yeah,
like
Artist Pass.
okay, and that is like something you would pay for like you would pay like a royalty or whatever, and you would get exclusive things from that artist.
Yeah, imagine it like I saw all the girls making money, like shout out to them on OnlyFans. But imagine it like an only like for artists, like an only bands is
Okay,
a close comp I can get for it.
okay.
And yeah, like our two objectives for Matter, it's like one is definitely on the revenue side, like without cannibalizing royalty revenue streams, like how else can creatives make money by leveraging like their content community? And the other half is honestly on, like the friendship side. It's like early SoundCloud, they were great at forming like communities and groups of new friends. Like that's where I met all my engineers and producers and managers and like lifelong friends I met on early SoundCloud. And I felt like when they got bought out by Rain Group in like 2017, a lot of that fell away. It's like they, with the new ownership, once the founders left, it was like they were focused on trying to become a Spotify when that wasn't really their lane. It wasn't their niche. So like the niche we're trying to take over is like, all right, how do you find like your team? Like when you're starting out, how do you find the people you're going to grow and build with? And then along the way, like how do you make your first couple dollars, first couple $100 from music? We want Matter to be that place.
So a thing I was actually like thinking about a lot is like how will it be besides like the artist club, which I think that's really awesome. The only bands, whatever you said, and that's cool. That is fucking awesome. But a big thing, like you said, and I have a lot of artist friends who have suffered with this as well, is like people falsely copyrighting, striking them. How how are you guys gonna prevent that from being a thing on your platform? Because like copyright is like a big thing. Because like, is there advertisement on there? Like,
Yeah, no, we have no ads, and we probably never will. Like, if we ever have ads, it'll be like an option for creators to implement ads. But to me, it's like for 1,000 ad impressions, it generates between like $5 to $15. But for that $5 to $15, it's giving 1,000 people a pretty shitty experience. Like nobody wants to like when you're bumping music in the zone, you don't want to hear like an advertisement about Home Depot, whatever. So like I want to focus on other ways. Like advertising, it's a way to make money, but I don't think it's a solution for creating new revenue streams. And it's something that like SoundCloud, Spotify, they already have ad supported tiers. If you want to make money that way, you can use those platforms. But we're trying to create something separate. And ideally, like we're not here to compete with any of the major DSPs. Like I've probably tweeted this or Instagram posted before. But like I love Spotify. I use it really frequently, and we're not like trying to compete or cannibalize with your revenue streams over on Spotify.
so it's mainly the people directly giving back to the artists is what you're trying to focus on as far as money wise on Matter.
Yeah, and it's like all the things you see people like tweeting about trying to make money, where it's like nobody's ever tweeting to like get more royalties, but like they're tweeting about like, hey, I'm selling features, I'm selling mixing mastering, I just dropped some merch, like I'm selling tabs, I'm selling gear, support my Patreon. There's a lot of other ways to make money outside of royalties, and like royalties account for like on like half of revenue in music as a whole. With the other half, and especially with like COVID, with like venues being closed, it's how do we help artists make more money online? How do we help them build truer engagement with their fans? Because like music is so in 2020, music is extremely accessible. It's like you can go and you can probably go on YouTube and find whatever song you're looking for and listen to it for free. So like Spotify charging more money. I know like artists and everybody involved, they all want higher payments, but the reality is like it's a competitive space. So there's Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon's in the space. Like there's a lot of big companies there that can afford losses. So if a Spotify were to increase their subscription pricing, then they'll lose people to the competitors. Then it doesn't. It's a zero sum game. It's not helping the artist out. But we want to look at like, all right, how else can we help them make money? And that's like what we're solving for in the platform.
So making money, that's like such a big focal point in this because like what if somebody is like, let's just say one of the bigger artists on Matter, Tokyo's Revenge, right? Let's just say somebody was impersonating him or whatever, and then people were paying for that fan club or whatever. What would be the executive action for somebody, not just Tokyo, just like somebody who has good music and would be a target of something like that? Somebody stealing their music and uploading it for their own financial gain or whatever.
Yeah. So I mean, like as a team of artists and artists myself, and we'll always be artists first. So the benefit of the doubt, it's going to be given to the artist. But if someone like was uploading illicit content, breaking our terms of service, then like we will suspend them, ban them from the platform. Same with like hate speech, anything like that. Like so, uh, basically, we want to make sure that like if someone was to report content, we don't immediately trust the party accusing. It's like the American justice system. Like you're innocent until proven guilty. But like we will make sure that the artist ends up on the top of that situation.
So even with copyright, has there been like a lot of copyright things with like people like using stolen beats or stolen verses or?
I mean, we've had a couple. Like one person like cosplayed Bob Marley and uploaded like dude, like 80 songs of Bob Marley to the platform and was saying Yaman in the chat, and we took his account down. But for the most part, we haven't like seen tons of abuse. There's been a couple like Lil Peep and Juice WRLD accounts that obviously we banned instantly, but there hasn't been tons of illicit use on the platform. So we're thankful for the community on that front. And as we grow, we'll just make sure, like, because it's rights management. Even in 2020, it's still not a perfect framework. Like, obviously, a lot of companies are still dealing with how to handle it best. So I'm not claiming we have the best solution for it, but we'll make sure that we always treat artists like with respect and with like the same way I'd want my content to be treated. I would never just want a report to be able to take my content down or get demonetized, whatever.
And you really can't make everybody happy either. 100% you will not make 100% of people happy. It's impossible.
Yeah, but that's something that's the job of a like CEO is you have a lot of conflicting opinions and viewpoints and perspectives, and it's choosing one that benefits the most amount of people, that benefits like what I think is morally and ethically correct. And really, it's like I'm not trying to become like I was never trying to become like a huge artist. For me, fulfillment is more like if I could help millions of kids make dope shit from their bedrooms, that would be a source of like life fulfillment for me. Like putting the money aside and power aside, whatever. It's like if I can help a million other kids like myself do what they want to do in life, like stop working 9 to 5, pursue music and art and creative passions. If matter can help them achieve that, then that's like a W in my book.
And definitely matter is like it's one of a kind, man. Like that's I mean that's why we're here today because it intrigues me to the point where I want to get to know the guys who started it and shit like that. And it's just crazy that it has like a global chat, like gifts. The gift thing is crazy. The gift thing is definitely crazy. I think in like my experience, the desktop, like the browser, works a little bit better than the mobile app right now.
Yeah, and that's because we're a small team. Like we have, compared to our competitors, we have no money, nobody with decades of experience or working at FANG companies. We're like the true underdogs, but like we're a team of artists. So like we knew what we'd experienced on platforms before, and even more importantly, it's like we asked all of our friends, like all of our producers and engineers and managers, like, hey, what do you guys like about the current landscape? What do you think is the future in the next generation of music and art online? And we kind of comprised all those ideas together, and like that's the kind of end product you end up with that matter. It's like we took, and that's like what blows my mind is most of the companies like they don't listen to what their users actually want. They're very disconnected, and I definitely take pride in the fact that like I try to talk to users for hours a day, and I know my team does too. And like that's why like, even without resources, we're able to build something pretty awesome. And for our beta, yeah, it's like we did the web app first because that's where most creators are uploading from. So like in the first stage of the company, we wanted to build out the tools, build out a network where people can make friends. And then the next stage of our company, once we leave our beta, it will be focused on the listener side of like how do we help you guys turn casual monthly listeners into like loyal fans? How do you guys get more plays? How do you make more money? And obviously a big part of that comes from mobile applications. Like listeners are spending 70, 80% of the time listening on mobile, but just due to lack of resources, like we don't have time, money, resources for all of it. So yeah, web app was our focus for now, but we are working to like onboard a full-time iOS engineer, an Android engineer, and then we're working also on a like Electron desktop app.
So like something that I could just have pinned to my home screen, just click on, it's like boom, matter.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
badass. That's badass. I like the logo too, the purple, because you got every other color, you know. Spotify got it. Spotify got its green and the orange with
Yeah, at
SoundCloud.
one point we were called Wavestream. Like we were like a blockchain focused company. And then shout out to Josh, honestly, for coming up with the name Matter. It's like we were brainstorming, like we didn't like the name Wavestream. And yeah, we talked to our friends, and like a really central point that boiled down was no matter what people were creating, they wanted significance and quote unquote, they wanted to like matter. They wanted whatever art they're making, like financially, engagement wise, support, even if they weren't the lead artist, they wanted to still get that clout, get that money. And then purple and matter, it's like, I think it was a cool concept. It kind of encompasses like everything in the world, space themed, which I love space, and purple seemed to fit for it.
But yeah, definitely, it's a big thing. What are some of the biggest hurdles that you've had to overcome with the development of Matter thus far?
The biggest hurdles on the development side.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Or not just development, just like in general, like a social conflict you had with on the app or whatever.
Hmm. I mean, there's been a ton, and honestly, like a startup, it's like 99% of the time you're taking L's, and it's about like mentally staying afloat and like reassuring yourself, like, all right, we got this. People are enjoying it. Well, let's just keep improving whatever we're doing. So like that mentality is essential. I'm not sure if there's like a singular hurdle I would identify as what was the most difficult, but every day there's a lot of new hurdles that we deal with. So like it's very tough.
I couldn't imagine, especially dealing with like, or I won't say dealing because that sounds bad. Like, oh, you're just brushing them off, dealing with them, but just working with all these people, you know. And I know how like people in general can be just like difficult about shit.
Yeah, maybe one of the most recent difficulties is like I personally am like if you look at my social feeds, I have to like force myself to post just because I'm not a really like I don't feel the need to always communicate on social media, but obviously would matter like growing exponentially fast. I do feel it's like a duty of myself to like actually listen to them and talk with our users. So I am
Mm-hmm.
spending a lot more time on social media than I frankly I enjoy. But like if that's what helps me make a better product and makes our users more excited to pursue art, then like I'll take the L and give the W's to everybody else.
That's definitely what's up. And another big thing you talked about with Matter too that I really fuck with is like making friends because like if you associate with a community but you don't have like really any friends in the community, then like what are you to that community? Like it's all about collectively like being one in a community, and that's what Matter really
Yeah,
does well.
and I think it's like especially in earlier stages, like you almost like crave some sort of validation or feedback on content because that's how you iterate as a creator to know like if you're going in the right direction or not. And like early SoundCloud, it felt like you were speaking to people versus like present day. If you're start like if I was to start my account today, I would feel like I'm just screaming into a void.
Yeah.
There's it feels like nobody. It's like I want somebody. I don't want a bot like one of those horny sex bots on SoundCloud to respond. I just want to talk to somebody and like see what they think and like maybe we can collaborate together. And if you look at like most artists, like they've always it's never them by themselves. It's they always have like a team of people that they build together with. They have their own cohort that they develop like their sound with and their style, and those become like the people that they put on in the future, and they all work together, and like their success is shared. So I want to like, and that's why we have like payment splits on the platform. Is like we want to make it really easy for even if you're not the lead artist on a track, we want to make it as easy as possible for you to get new fans, new traction, and for you to make money from whatever you're doing.
So, a bit off topic, but how many users have registered on Matter? Do you know?
So we're getting very close to like 100,000. We're at 80 something thousand monthly active users on the platform now,
Damn,
and then we're getting like one point I don't know like over a million page views a month now.
damn.
So each of those people are going on like at least 10 times per month.
And
And then we're
so,
still
like,
like just like super underground. Like I don't want to disclose anything on this podcast, but like we are talking to some bigger acts, some larger talents that will probably 10x us from here in the next like 3 to 6 months.
Because I do remember like whenever Tokyo and Ace Comment both like announced that they were like, moving to Matter and like uploading shit to Matter, bro. That was like kind of like a big spark in the underground. I don't know how present it was, but like that's when I caught wind of it. Was when those
Yeah, and
two.
that's when we grew very significantly. Since like that was a huge moment for us. Like shout out to Tokyo, like so much love for him and Jackson and Ace and Ecstasy and like that whole crew. Clifford, like they're all amazing people, amazing creators. So I have a ton of gratitude and like appreciation for what they helped us do. Because honestly, as like a creator of the platform, like the same way an early artist wants like feedback on what they're making in terms of art, Matter's kind of like a piece of art for me on a personal level, where it's like just like seeing people use it and seeing how I can make it better. That makes me just way more inspired to work even harder for you guys. And they shout out to them, like they kicked off a huge wave of people onto the platform.
Yeah,
And then after them, like shout out like Eric Doa and Quinn and Glaive and like the whole UVC team with like Bill and Bernard and Trent. Uh, I've been big fans of their music for since they started making music, to be honest. And like I'm just like super excited to see them on the platform too.
So what does the future hold for Matter?
What time frame?
Let's give it. Let me think. 2 years. October
2 years.
2022.
So by 2022, I would like to have paid out creators $100 million on the platform. I want to help them make money, and for me, a success would be like if I can go on like Spotify, or I don't listen to the radio, but like turn on the radio, and if I can hear people that like linked up and became friends from because of Matter, that would be a huge win in my book. Like if I know, and like we're already getting so much great feedback. Like every day I get 30, 50 messages of people saying like, "Hey, I was about to give up on music, and like Matter made me feel like I can actually pursue this." And I made like kids that like I don't want to mention names, but it's like kids like have in the past like 2 weeks have found like they never had an engineer or producer or manager, and they found their team in the past few weeks. And if I can just continue to make that happen, I would be extremely excited. Yeah, the revenue side, I'd like to have paid out artists $100 million by then. That means like artists will make 100 million, Matter will have made about 10 million, but like that's the way I want it to grow. I want to be the last one to succeed. I want to see everybody on the platform doing well before Matter sees money.
That's awesome.
And then I
Like,
would like a partnership with we're talking with a major DSP and a major live streaming platform, so I would like to integrate further on those fronts. And not talking with Discord yet, but I would also like to integrate deeper into Discord, just because I believe, yeah, like Discord, Twitch, Spotify, they're platforms that I love, and I would love to have Matter be a part of that ecosystem.
do Discord bots play Matter links yet? Is that a thing
Yeah,
yet?
shout out to I believe it was Onks, uh, ONKZ on Matter. He built this one, and I think he has a new version coming out like I don't know in a couple days next week. But yeah, we do have a Matter Discord bot already built, and we have ideas for like a lot more on the Discord side. Right now, there's a we have the criteria to become like a verified server and partner server, whatever. Right now, Discord isn't taking new applications, so whenever they open that back up, we'll start moving on that front.
The Matter Discord was definitely popping. So, is there anything that you feel like we haven't really touched on, or anything you wanted to kind of air out?
Nothing like entirely present on my mind. I think about Matter all day, so I could probably stay on here forever talking about it. But nothing that seems to take immediate precedence in my mind.
Is there any shout outs you want to give to anybody on here?
Shout outs. I mean, Josh Pan and Teddy and Aiden and the whole dev team, like all my co-founders, Mike Gao and Paul DeVreau. Give a little shout out to my girlfriend, Lost Girl, over on Matter and Etsy, and My parents, I guess. Well, I could thank a lot of people, but uh, those
I
are the
feel
most
you.
immediate.
I feel you.
Also, shout out to all like I already mentioned Tokyo, all of them, and all like the early battery users, like everyone that was on before Tokyo, like Pelican and Onks and Disick and some of Josh's friends, some of my friends, like Optic Core and Sauce and stuff. There's an endless list of people I could probably thank. So I'll give a blanket thank you to everybody.
Shout out to the Russians.
Yeah, shout out to Russians for sure.
um. So yeah, we'll get this outro and then we can wrap it up.
All right,
Thank
cool.
you. Thank you so much for listening or watching the In the Sky podcast, and thank you so much 330 for coming on here, man, and talking to us. It's been great to get to know you and what matters all about.
Yep, of course. Thank you so much, Sky.
Hey.